We all love movies, but do the movies we love us back? Or do they take our intelligence for granted? On my new show, Reshoot, we're going to look at movies that have cult followings and dissect why they're loved, but also how each one has major logistical flaws and how those flaws could have been easily overcome to provide a better viewing experience. My name's Cameron West, and this is Reshoot. Since I'm a huge fan of horror and this is primarily a video game channel, we're going to look at a modern classic. That's right, the 2002 gem, Resident Evil. For those of you who haven't seen Resident Evil or need a refresher on it, IMDb says this: that the plot of Resident Evil is a special military unit accompanied by Alice fights a powerful, out-of-control supercomputer and hundreds of scientists who have mutated into flesh-eating creatures after a laboratory accident. Oh really? Is that what Resident Evil's about? Because the video game didn't have a killer supercomputer. It didn't have the Hive. It didn't have Alice. Oh, and it didn't have whoever Michelle Rodriguez is supposed to be. So really, the only thing that the movie and video game have in common is that a virus is released which turns people into zombies. Yeah, okay. So it has nothing in common, basically. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I tear it apart, let's jump into 3 reasons why people genuinely seem to love this movie. First up, it's about zombies. Zombies were hot in 2002. Zombies are hot now. Everyone loves a zombie movie. 2, people really seem to love Mia Jovovich, and they like Alice as the main character. But the problem is Alice didn't exist in the video game. Director Paul Anderson, who is married to Mia Jovovich, go figure, wanted to make the game into a modern-day Alice in Wonderland story, where the Queen of Hearts is an evil supercomputer, her card men are flesh-eating zombies, and Alice is Alice. 3, the movies are non-stop action. Whereas the original game is slow burn survival horror, the movie is action sequence after action sequence. And that seemed to resonate with audiences because as the movies went on, the action got more and more, and the movies got worse and worse. Alright, so now that I've got that rant out of the way, let's talk about 3 ways that this movie could have been fixed. 1, Paul Anderson could have followed the damn game. Resident Evil is a rare breed of game that's actually got an amazing plot, deep characters, and a great mythology associated with it. The original Resident Evil game revolves around a series of homicides that takes place in the Arklay Mountains, which is north of the fictional Raccoon City. When the S.T.A.R.S Bravo team is called in to investigate the murders, but then doesn't report back, the Alpha team is sent in to find out what happened. The game then lets the player choose to be either Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield and explore a derelict mansion where the murders have taken place and Bravo team has disappeared in. What's wrong with that? That's an amazing premise. You get a haunted house movie built into a zombie movie, built into something that could have some action elements. I don't get it. 2, if Paul Anderson was going to insist on casting his wife in the film, why couldn't she have played Jill Valentine? Jill is a main character in the game. She's important to the series, and more importantly, if the movie would have been based around Jill, it wouldn't have taken us on one of the shittiest trips through Wonderland I've ever experienced. Oh, also, Mia and Jill look the same. 3, the movies should have been primarily horror with a touch of action and not the other way around. If the movie would have been a slow burn like most great horror films are, there would have been a chance to flesh out a plot that made sense and characters that people cared about. And when those characters started dying and zombies were introduced, there would have been a genuine sense of terror about the whole thing. I mean, it would have beat just racking up a senseless body count because it was cool to do that. Oh, and 4, and this is a special one because I almost forgot to write this down myself. The thing that throws the whole movieverse into action. The dropping of the vial that releases the virus into the air vents and then infects everybody, it can't happen. It's not possible. In sealed rooms, in clean rooms, where people wear protective suits and there is contaminated materials being dealt with, there are no air vents. The rooms are completely sealed. What the Christ, Paul Anderson? Seriously, what the Christ? Google it. Anyway, there you have it. One of the greatest games of all time turned into a nonsensical version of a Lewis Carroll children's story. You can have a different opinion than mine, but if you do, you're wrong. I'm Cameron West, and that is the Reshoot.